guys. We keep trying to use the iPad so we can see all your beautiful faces, and it's just doesn't work out. So phone it is.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for hanging in there. So if any of you have worked with Wiki before or helped him get ready for class, Wiki is known for being what we like to call a pig pen. He loves to be dirty, but as most of you probably know, it's not a good idea to ride a horse when they're dirty. If we put tack on top of a horse that's got dirt or grime underneath the tack, we can cause rubs, we can cause skin infections and scratches, so they have to be clean. I honestly think that Wiki likes being dirty because he knows that we get to spend more time with him. So before I get started, Lindsay, do you mind circling around and showing off how dirty Wiki got for us today, especially on his rump? He gets really itchy. That's one of his favorite spots to grind in the mud. So we're going to talk about the best ways to get rid of all of this dirt. And this is just in one night. I cleaned him last night. I'd like everyone to know that he was pristine and clean and not a drop of anything on him last night when I tucked him in for bed. So this is just less than 24 hours. I know. He's being very impatient about this process. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about our grooming supplies and what we use for grooming. We're going to talk about where, and then I will itch Wiki and make sure that he gets a little relief from all that mud. So we have a couple of brushes in each box that our horse has here, and each of them do a different thing. And they're all equally important. Here at Little Bit, we ask people to pick their feet first, okay? And the reason is, if he's got rocks in his feet, right, we don't want him just standing around waiting for those rocks to come out, or a stick, or mud that's got kind of packed in there. So we're going to use our hook pick first. The pick part of this doesn't hurt them, it's blunt. We obviously want to be careful when we use it, but it's really safe to use. We've got our curry coat. Some of them are in different shapes. This one has a cute puppy on it. But essentially what this does, it's got nubs that you rub against the skin. This lifts all of the kind of crusty dirt away, so that'll be great for his rump in just a moment. We want to be careful using this, though, on areas of the body that I wouldn't call squishy, for lack of a better word, right? We'll talk in more detail about what that is. But essentially, you want to use it on areas that are soft so that he's not uncomfortable. All right. The next brush we would use is our hard brush, or our stiff brush. It's exactly what it sounds like, okay? It's kind of a stiff, bristle brush to help remove the dirt that the curry coat got off. This is also something we can use on their legs. And then lastly, we have our soft brush, which is just as important as our stiff brush. This is kind of the finishing touch to the last bit of dirt, and it's something that I could use on his face if I needed to. This is just a standard hairbrush, believe it or not, that we use for people. And this would be used for his forelock and his mane. Believe it or not, even though our manes are trimmed shorter to Fjord's, we still need to brush them every once in a while, and his tail. Okay, so Wiki has been very patient, so we're going to go ahead and do his feet. When we do horse's hooves, you always want to start on one side and go around, okay? Knuckles, and then you can back up behind me. I know, but so to pick up a horse's hoof correctly, you're going to take your hand and you're going to run it down their leg. Most horses will pick it up automatically. They've done this a lot. I'll then use my other hand to support his hoof. You don't want to hold it by the toe because that's going to stretch their ligaments. You want to make sure that you're holding the whole foot. Now his feet are surprisingly clean for how gross the rest of his body is. But what we would do with this pick is we would run along this kind of triangle area. This is called the frog. Think of it as like the quick of your fingernail. This is the horseshoe. And then this is the wall of the hoof, okay? So what we want is that no rocks, sticks, crazy things that you sometimes find in feet being in here when he has weight on his back. So I would pretend to pick out all the dirt, brush it away. I know, bud. And then I would gently put his foot down. especially for older horses, you never want to just drop their hoof. Kind of like if someone was, letting you lean on them and all of a sudden they move, right? That'd be kind of rude. So, same thing with the back hoof. I'll run my hand down the back of his leg, ask him to lift it up. You can do it, buddy. Oh boy. Now for the back leg, it's important, especially for older horses, to keep their foot close to the ground because it's less stress on their stifles and hocks. And again, we would pick a log here, along the frog, making sure there's no debris, and then you brush it away, and then gently put it down. Okay, 2 more to go, Wiki. Now, obviously, there's not quite enough room on this side, so I'm going to ask Wiki to just step over. Oh, look at the good boy. He didn't have to touch you. Such a pro. Okay. Lift up his foot. Keep it low to the ground. Pretty clean. Look at that. Now, it's really interesting if you look at the horseshoe and how these are made, you can tell how flush it is to his hoof, right? You don't see any of the hoof wall on either side. You can tell they fit that way. It's pretty cool. Last one, buddy. No, man, these are really clean. Okay, so we've done our feet. Now, it's Wiki's favorite part, our curry comb. Hi, bud. So, we're gonna follow, you ready, Wiki? We're gonna follow the grooming sequence that we give people here. I'll make sure that we post this after class. What do you think, Wiki? Is it a good idea? Yeah. It says left side sequence, but really it's the same on both sides. So you're gonna start with the horse's neck, then their shoulder, then their back, their belly, and then finally their rump. Okay, so you're gonna go from the farthest up on their neck all the way to the dock of their tail. You'll notice so that for this brush, it doesn't list. What do you think? Should we get started? So the curry comb is made, so it's almost a circle or an oval, and that's on purpose, okay? When you use the curry comb, make circles to help lift all of the hair, the old hair, right? And the debris off of the skin. A good question for everyone is, how, or really a joke, I should say, how do horse people know it's spring? Something to do with grooming and our fjords. Come back, and you'll notice as I'm going, I'm purposely going against the hair. So the hair is all going this way, right? I'm going opposite to try and get as much of this gross dirt. Gross dirt off. I think we're good. Okay. So it's important to listen to your horse when you're grooming. He's telling me that might tickle, right? He's moving, he's wiggling. Either he really likes it and he's letting me know, or I was going too rough. So I'm going to go a little softer and see what he tells me. Oh, that feels good. Okay, so it's going a little rough. All right, we got one side down. Now I'm going to go to the other side. Now it's important when you go to the other side that you still start at the neck. And you'll notice that when I walk behind Wiki, I kept my hands on his bum. That way he knew where I was and he wouldn't step back or get nervous. So we'll start up at the neck, go all the way down to his shoulder, get all of this dirt lifted, get his belly. Oh man, buddy, this spot is really impressive. Okay, I think really for most of this, he would need a bath. What do you guys think? Oh, better? Okay, all right, so I've gotten as much of the dirt off with the curry comb as I could, right? I've lifted it off the skin. The next brush we're gonna use is our hard brush. So we're gonna use this in the same order as our curry comb, in the same places. What do you think? Do you think it'll work, Vicky? Yeah, maybe. Well, don't eat it. I gotta use it, silly boy. Now, curry combs are shaped in an oval, right? Hard brushes are kind of shaped like almost like a board eraser, right? Maybe I'm aging myself. Do they still have erasers for boards in school? So what you're gonna do with this brush to get all of the dirt off is you're gonna follow the hair. So you can see how there's a pattern to all of the hair that he has. You're gonna follow the hair. And for those of you who like Harry Potter, you're gonna do what I like to call swish and flick. Swish and flick, all of the hair off, right? And you're gonna go in the same order. You can also do the legs. It's really important to still get their legs. They can still get dirt on them. You're gonna get the belly, especially where the girth or the cinch would go, right? So that he doesn't get rubs from his tack. Difficult to follow the hair. So you have to kind of pay attention to this whirl, right at his hip, so that you're going with the hair correctly. All right. Now, this is definitely not going to be perfect. I would probably have to spend another 30 minutes with Wiki. So we're just going to get the worst of it. I know that. Okay, we'll do the other side. Going through. Making sure we get as much of that dirt and grime off as possible. Our horses here don't really get baths as much as probably people hopefully do, right? Horses get them in the summertime, maybe once a week, right? So in between that, it's really important to keep them clean. All right, now, the last brush that I'm gonna use before I turn over Ariel is the soft brush, okay? Now, the soft brush is exactly like the hard brush like we talked about, just softer, right? So if he had dirt on his face, I could use it on his face and his muzzle. Does that feel good, buddy? Without it hurting him or poking him in the nose. Do you have an itchy spot right here? Some horses really like their faces getting groomed. Some of them really don't, which is why most of the time we ask volunteers not to groom their face. That way, our horses are comfortable. So it's just touch on our horse, right? Making sure that we check their belly, that they've gotten all the dirt off. It also feels good. Something that a lot of people don't realize is grooming a horse is almost like a massage, right? You're increasing blood flow to the skin. You're helping make sure that they stay clean. It's really good bonding too between horses and people. If you watch horses out in the fields, they spend a lot of time grooming each other. And that's for a reason. It feels good. All right, so Lindsay, will you walk around Wiki here and show off all our hard work? Now again, it's not going to be quite perfect. I need about another 30 minutes with him and a curry comb on his rump to really get it. But you can see a big difference, right? You don't have as much crust. If he was going in a class, the area where the saddle and the rider would be, it's nice and clean. All right. Well, thanks, Wiki, for hanging out with us. We're going to turn it over to Loki, who's just woken up from his nap. Perfect timing. And I'm going to let Wiki back out to his paddock. I'll be right back, you guys.
Hi guys, my name's Ariel and I'm the equine assistant here at Little Bit. I help take care of all the horses here, and one of the things that I manage is doing the Fjord mates. So Loki here has been so patient waiting. You'll see up close, there's a line, kind of where his last haircut was. I usually typically follow along that line when I'm cutting their hair. And the other really important thing is when we're all done, you'll see it's level straight up on the front. So a couple things that I use to clip a Fjord's mane are the clippers, some cooling stuff because this can get really hot, and then a hairbrush because although he doesn't have much mane, it's nice to get it nice and even. And just like when you're getting a haircut, they brush your hair and clip it even. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm short, so I use the step stool all the time. I always turn these on so they can hear it. It just nice low noise, and Loki
not bothered by it at all. So I step up to them and I follow along this line. He's one of the best at that. So basically what I'm doing right now is kind of giving myself an outline of where I'm going to take it up, where it's going to go. And you'll see with sharp clippers that it cuts pretty well and pretty straight. One of the most important things about clipping is on the white, because we do the normal traditional where the black line is just coming up. We don't want to clip upwards, we want to clip downwards so you see just a line of white. Hi, buddy. I know. So I'm going to grab my hairbrush and recheck to make sure that we're still doing good. That's pretty good. So I'm going to go through and clip those couple spots. And I try to not clip the black, but sometimes you'll get it. So that's pretty good. We're missing a couple strands, but I'm not going to take the clippers to it because I don't want to get the black with it. I'm going to use scissors after we're done. Go over to the other side of it. Same thing. Grab this one. And since I have this line here, I'm going to follow along it because it should be pretty even to the other side. I like that you can really tell, Ariel, that Loki likes this. Sleep again. I know, buddy. This again to see where we're at. I know, buddy. Right to the even better. Pretty close. I would come down another quarter inch with the top on this side. Okay. Now another good question for the end. Does anybody know the one Fjord who has the long name? Yeah. What is the name of the one Fjord who has the long name? Yeah, awesome. So just like the other side, I'm going to leave those couple strands of white. But is it pretty even? I think so. Let's even get Loki's attention. Loki, what do you think? Pretty good. I think so. Yeah, pretty close.
That's pretty good.
Alrighty. All that good. Do we go watch the perfect slurp? Your guess is as good as mine. I think these ones are the best. Alright. So the part is now I'm gonna trace along. Well, I'll go through and get all of them. It goes a lot quicker. So the fun part now is going along and tracing the black, just cutting it down a little bit shorter. So. I know, wait. So Ariel, a question that we get a lot, you might have already answered it, is why do we cut our Fjord's manes?
I haven't. We cut them. Hey.
So you see how big their necks are? The reason why we cut their manes are because if the manes get too long, their necks will flop over and it's really hard on them. So a lot of our Fjords get different cuts. Sometimes, I guess that pretty much answers it. Yeah. Sometimes we'll put designs in them. Sometimes Ariel gets really creative and puts hearts or stars. This cut, which is the traditional way to what's called roach a mane, right? Just cut it short, is actually called a funeral stripe. It's a formal stripe that Norwegian people used to use. One of the other reasons that cart breeds, so draft horses that were bred to pull carts, have short manes is because if you have a lot of lines, right, and equipment running along your horses, you don't want to get their mane caught in. So people will braid them up or just cut them really short because it's a little bit safer and more comfortable. I think to talk about Ariel is who's the easy? The reason why Gigi is because she falls asleep. And who's the most difficult to give a haircut to? You guys are gonna laugh, but it's Zorro. Zorro? What? I know.
Really surprises me.
I know. He constantly moves in the process. So he's a wiggler. He is. Zorro, your secret's out. I know. So, look. What do you think, Loki? Are you handsome?
No, that hair.
I know. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So, and then the last thing that we do is we clip their bridle pads. So when we put their bridles on or their halters on, it's a lot easier to go over. So I'm gonna take one. So now, boy. Spot over there. Okay. Well, nice job. Yay. Looking so handsome. Hi, Bub. Well, thank you, Loki and Ariel. I'm glad that we got to watch you guys get a haircut. So the question was, did anybody get it or have any guesses? Which Fjord do we have at Little Bit who has the long name?
Can I take everybody off mute
Yeah, let's
for
see.
question and answer?